Hey, Belle. Hey, Katie. Hey, Nick. Hey, how you doing? Hey, hey. Nick, you look different. I'm not sure what it is.
He's not wearing his glasses.
That's it. Yes. How's the
Oh,
benches? Hello, hello. All right.
I'm going to be half and halving between video camera and hamster because she's
Hamster
got
cam.
her new playpen is all set up and ready
That's
to go.
huge.
Which is exciting, but it does
Yeah.
mean that I need to keep an eye on her because all the playpens I've made in the past have had built-in escape routes that I never knew were there.
Back
But
doors.
she managed to find them because she is a genius. So,
Fantastic. Okay. Hey, Michael. Got my badge on today. Catch a cruise.
Yay! Excellent.
Katie and Nick, how are your benches doing outside?
Only one bench so far.
It's very impressive.
The garden looks amazing. Ian and me were over today
Oh, yeah.
for a garden visit, and it looked beautiful. It looked so lovely. Very jealous. Have a mistake.
Belle was slightly overwhelmed because we gave them 8 months of hospitality in one dollop.
We got plants. We got jam. Ian got a mirror and cordial and gin. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was
Some treatment.
quite something.
There were cinnamon buns.
Cinnamon
buns. Oh
Very
god,
on
yeah, I
trend.
forgot the cinnamon buns. Were they some cinnamon buns? Let me tell you, they were magnificent.
Best in the biz.
They were genuinely delicious, so I can highly recommend.
Katie's little face there.
When you're allowed to do visiting again and we're allowed to interact, I feel guilty being the only one who's got cinnamon buns in the last 8 months. I feel like that's a serious honour.
Got them as well.
That's true. That is true.
We offered to give some to Frankie, but apparently Frankie and Zach have a compact in which no one else is allowed to make cinnamon buns for Frankie.
I see. Fair enough. I'd love to say I had something like that for Ian, but my cooking's so bad that I encourage him to eat other people's food as much as possible. Mine is awful.
Really? I can't imagine that. You're so...
I just don't enjoy making food, and you can tell when it's made. Like, if people love making food and they find that really enjoyable, then you can tell when you eat it. Whereas with me, I find it so stressful, but by the end of it, I'm just like, I hate food. I'm never doing it again. And again, you can absolutely tell.
I made chocolate brownie today.
Wow.
I haven't eaten it yet, but it looks really good and it smells really good. So
yeah,
double
I'm
tick so
impressed
far.
with your willpower. That's good.
Only because I had rhubarb crumble instead. While the brownie was in the oven.
Oh, delicious.
Hello,
Gordon.
Hey, Gordon. Hey, Frankie.
Hi, Sweetie.
The books!
The books?
All the books!
Where are you, Frankie? What room are you in there?
I'm in my bedroom. I'm in my bedroom as usual, but I've moved everything round.
You have other walls in your bedroom?
I do. Hold on, that's quite loud. Yeah, I got my reading chair. I've been saying for forever that I wanted to get my reading chair back. Today,
yeah,
I finally got it back.
Look, see it in all its glory. Oh,
that's a great reading chair.
That's cool. Love the cushions too.
It's so big and comfy, and I can sleep in it. Yeah, it's like, oh.
God. I
can be all in it. I'm so happy.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh my goodness, just popping in and being like, wow, so many people are just so smiley right now. This is so nice.
What a lovely way to begin. How is everybody? How are you all?
Very good.
Oh my God.
Sorry. There we go.
Hey, Shira. I'm Mike. Good to meet you.
Sure, nice to meet you as well.
Expects strong language and violence
Ivan,
throughout.
you stuff.
Hitman's bodyguard.
Is it Ivan again?
Yeah, it's Ivan. Yeah, Mike Astro is a friend of mine from uni. For folks who haven't met him
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
See ya.
You can walk with a good friend and say a little bit.
So nice to see you again.
I love story time. I'm definitely going to be joining when I can.
Woo! I love your necklace, Frankie.
This old thing? Oh, I got it from this cult I'm a member of.
Founder, leader.
Yeah, I think you have to take some responsibility for.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. How you doing, sweetie? Long time no see. Oh,
Doing well, doing good. Nice to see everyone.
nice to see you. Your facial hair is looking incredible as always. You've got the
can I
best
say?
beard game.
That's saying something because there's some
It really
strong
is.
beards.
In here, in this rarefied atmosphere. What else we got? Hi, Ariane.
Jen?
You look very cozy.
Quite cozy.
Hey,
You're actually doing that.
Yeah, hi, Jen.
Quilt.
A quilt. Nice.
Ooh, lovely. That looks very nice.
Very cozy.
Cozy is good. We like cozy.
Mm-hmm.
What else have we got? Hey, Kitty. Hey, Rory. Wherever you are, you mysterious creatures.
Oh, where's Kitty and Rory? Oh, there they are.
Here somewhere. Here somewhere.
Hiding.
Hiding secretly. There they are.
Hey!
Hey, folks.
Hey, friends.
Hi, friends. Hi, Michael. Hey, Gordon. Hi, Zach. Hi, Zach. Hi, everybody. Hey, Nick and Katie. Katie, here is a special cuddle for you, and I hope that you are feeling better. We missed you last night, but we did multiple shout outs to you. We did one at the top and one at the bottom. So even if you never watch it, they are there sitting for you.
In potentia.
Yes, also hot.
And so much romance. There's so much like love and hotness waiting for you for when you catch up with that. And if anybody else hasn't watched and wants to watch the pre-love poem session, oh my god.
Can I read the thing that I would have read yesterday had I been there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's actually not a poem, it's a song. But ever since I first listened to it, I was like, this could totally work on poetry time. It's called Tenderness and Alcohol. This is no hokey cokey. It's not the type of thing you put your whole self in. I draw you into eyeline on an orchestrated timeline, but no longer knowing where to begin. And this is what it looks like. This is how I walk when I'm out of reach. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to be under my skin. This is no time for dreaming. It's not like you have any claim on my downtime. You're still looking your best, looking like living on tenderness and alcohol by your laugh lines. And this is how we talk now. This is what we say when we are out of reach. And this is what it feels like. This is how you feel when you're feeling fine. When I think about you, I'm remembering a girl with her arms wide, embracing the physical world. And when I think about you, I'm picturing you grown, your towering heights held up on fearlessness alone. And when I think about you, I'm imagining. I can only imagine and try to wish you well. This is where I leave you. This is where we leave it. This is a sacred day. I walk you to your front gate and lean over the fence to wave you out from my driveway. This is just a goodbye. There will always be one when I see you. And this is where I leave you. This is where I send you gently on your way. Now you're on your own. How is it that you know just when to reach me on the phone? And I'm grateful. I'm still grateful for the times that we have known. Is this the last time?
Katie. Katie.
I did not write it.
But you read it. Boy, howdy, did you read it? That was gorgeous. Thank you so much, my love.
That was really
Who was
beautiful.
that?
It's by a band called The Maze, who everyone should listen to because they're utterly wonderful. They're Australian sisters. And Malcolm sometimes plays their songs if he's DJing. And they're good for singing along with. There's a very beautiful one about a boat.
If you happen to feel like sharing the video to that song in the Storytime group, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm sure other people might want to listen to that.
I don't even know if there is a video. Like, I had to write the lyrics out myself because the lyrics aren't on the internet. Like, they're not very big.
Wow, like not cool.
We went to see them when they were playing in Glasgow at this tiny little underground like venue, and Malcolm was like crying and fangirling all over the like he basically spent the entire evening like because they're Australian and they're never here because Australians don't tour Scotland very often.
That is very cute. That is very cute. How are we doing for time?
No.
1 minute.
1 minute. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited. I really hope you like it. I really hope you all like this.
Sure we will.
Have we ever not liked a book you've picked? Like, there's probably people who hang out and are enthusiastic as fuck till the end. We're gonna love it, Frankie. If you trust your taste, you have good taste.
It's very much Zach's taste, and he has excellent taste.
He does have excellent taste.
You chose the Night Circus.
Hmm?
You chose the Night Circus.
I did.
I thought that was Zach.
I chose Night Circus.
Oh.
Zach suggested Uprooted.
Ah.
Well, those are like a lot of people's favorite books. When you asked what people's favorite books were at the anniversary party, like those were the two that came up the most. So between yours and Zach's taste, I think we're really safe with this. Also, I'm so excited.
Okay. Whew, okay, right. So, I don't think there needs to be particularly any intro into this. It's a sort of semi-epistolary novel, so it will take the form of like a little kind of like a chunk of description of a thing happening, and then there will be a letter, and then there will be another chunk of description, and then there will be another letter, and it goes like that throughout the book. So we will have 4 letters worth today, and I think that should be enough to give you a flavour. If there's anything that you don't understand about like the world building or the concept or whatever, just kind of let it wash over you. Either it will be explained and you will get the gist of it, or it won't and is therefore not important. So if you are the kind of person who is like, but how do these spaceships work, then you're probably out of luck here. But don't go. You'll like it anyway. Now, story time.
Story time.
Okay.
Feelings.
Okay. Right. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. This is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. When red wins, she stands alone. Blood slicks her hair. She breathes out steam in the last night of this dying world. That was fun, she thinks, but the thought sours in the framing. It was clean, at least. Climb up time's threads into the past and make sure no one survives this battle to muddle the futures her agencies arranged. The futures in which her agency rules, in which Red herself is possible. She's come to knot this strand of history and sear it until it melts. She holds a corpse that was once a man, her hands gloved in its guts, her fingers clutching its alloy spine. She lets go and the exoskeleton clatters against rock. Crude technology, ancient, bronze to depleted uranium. He never had a chance. That is the point of Red. After a mission comes a grand and final silence. Her weapons and armour fold into her like roses at dusk. Once flaps of pseudo-skin settle and heal and the programmable matter of her clothing knits back together, Red looks again something like a woman. She paces the battlefield, seeking, making sure. She has won. Yes, she has won. She is certain she has won. Hasn't she? Both armies lie dead. Two great empires broke themselves here, each a reef to the other's hull. That is what she came to do. From their ashes, others will rise, more suited to her agency's ends. And yet, there was another on the field. No groundling like the time-moored corpses mounded by her path, but a real player. Someone from the other side. Few of Red's fellow operatives would have sensed that opposing presence. Red knows only because Red is patient, solitary, careful. She studied for this engagement. She modelled it backward and forward in her mind. When ships were not where they were supposed to be, when escape pods that should have been fired did not, when certain fusillades came 30 seconds past their cue, she noticed. Twice is coincidence. 3 times is enemy action. But why? Red has done what she came to do, she thinks. But wars are dense with causes and effects, calculations and strange attractors, and all the more so are wars in time. One spared life might be worth more to the other side than all the blood that stained Red's hands today. A fugitive becomes a queen or a scientist or, worse, a poet. Or her child does, or a smuggler she trades jackets with in some distant spaceport. And all this blood for nothing. Killing gets easier with practice, in mechanics and technique. Having killed never does, for Red. Her fellow agents do not feel the same, or they hide it better. It is not like Garden's players to meet Red on the same field at the same time. Shadows and sure things are more their style. But there is one who would. Red knows her, though they have never met. Each player has their signature. She recognises patterns of audacity and risk. Red may be mistaken. She rarely is. Her enemy would relish such a magic trick, twisting to her own ends all Red's grand work of murder. But it's not enough to suspect. Red must find proof. So she wanders the charnel field of victory and seeks the seeds of her defeat. A tremor passes through the soil. Do not call it Earth. The planet dies. Crickets chirp. Crickets survive, for now, among the crashed ships and broken bodies on this crumbling plain. Silver moss devours steel, and violet flowers choke the dead guns. If the planet lasted long enough, the vines that sprout from the corpses' mouths would grow berries. It won't, and neither will they. On a span of blasted ground, she finds the letter. It does not belong. Here there should be bodies mounded between the wrecks of ships that once sailed the stars. Here there should be the death and dirt and blood of a successful op. There should be moons disintegrating overhead, ships aflame in orbit. There should not be a sheet of cream-coloured paper, clean save a single line in a long, trailing hand. Burn before reading. Red likes to feel. It is a fetish. Now she feels fear and eagerness. She was right. She searches shadows for her hunter, her prey. She hears infrasonic, ultrasound. She thirsts for contact, for a new, more worthy battle, but she is alone with the corpses and the splinters and the letter her enemy left. It is a trap, of course. Vines curl through eye sockets, twine past shattered portholes. Rust flakes fall like snow. Metal creaks, stressed, and shatters. It is a trap. Poison would be crude, but she smells none. Perhaps norovirus in the message, to subvert her thoughts, to seed a trigger, or merely to taint Red with suspicion in her commandant's eyes. Perhaps if she reads this letter, she will be recorded, exposed, blackmailed for use as a double agent. The enemy is insidious. Even if this is but the opening gambit of a longer game, by reading it, Red risks Commandant's wrath if she is discovered, risks seeming a traitor, be she never so loyal. The smart and ambitious play would be to leave. But the letter is a gauntlet thrown, and Red has to know. She finds a lighter in a dead soldier's pocket. Flames catch in the depths of her eyes. Sparks rise, ashes fall, and letters form on the paper in that same long, trailing hand. Red's mouth twists. A sneer, a mask, a hunter's grin. The letter burns her fingers as the signature takes shape. She lets its cinders fall. Red leaves then. Mission failed and accomplished at once, and climbs down thread towards home, to the braided future her agency shapes and guards. No trace of her remains save cinders, ruins, and millions dead. The planet waits for its end. Vines live, yes, and crickets, though no one's left to see them but the skulls. Rain clouds threaten. Lightning blooms and the battlefield goes monochrome. Thunder rolls. There will be rain tonight to slick the glass that was the ground if the planet lasts so long. The letter's cinders die. The shadow of a broken gunship twists. Empty, it fills. A seeker emerges from that shadow, bearing other shadows with her. Wordless, the seeker regards the aftermath. She does not weep, that anyone can see. She paces through the wrecks, over the bodies, professional. She works a winding spiral, ensuring with long-practiced arts that no one has followed her through the silent paths she walked to reach this place. The ground shakes and shatters. She reaches what was once a letter. Kneeling, she stirs the ashes. A spark flies up and she catches it in her hand. She removes a thin white slab from a pouch at her side and slips it under the ashes, spreads them thin against the white. removes her glove and slits her finger. Rainbow blood wells and falls and splatters into grey. She works her blood into the ash to make a dough, kneads that dough, rolls it flat. All around, decay proceeds. The battleships become mounds of moss, great guns break. She applies jewelled lights and odd sounds. She wrinkles time. The world cracks through the middle. The ash becomes a piece of paper, with sapphire ink in a viney hand at the top. This letter was meant to be read once, then destroyed. In the moments before the world comes apart, she reads it again. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. A little joke. Trust that I have accounted for all variables of irony, though I suppose if you're unfamiliar with over-anthologized works of the early Strand 6th, 19th century, the joke's on me. I hoped you'd come. You're wondering what this is, but not, I think, wondering who this is. You know, just as I've known since our eyes met during that messy matter on Abragast 882, that we have unfinished business. I shall confess to you here that I'd been growing complacent, bored even with the war. Your agency's flash and dash up thread and down, gardens, patient planning and pruning of strands, burrowing into time's braid. Your unstoppable force to our immovable object, less a game of Go than a game of tic-tac-toe. Outcomes determined from the first move, endlessly iterated until the split where we fork off into unstable, chaotic possibility, the future we seek to secure at each other's expense. But then you turned up. My margins vanished. Every move I'd made by rote, I had to bring myself to fully. You brought some depth to your side speed, some staying power, and I found myself working at capacity again. You invigorated your shift's war effort, and in doing so, invigorated me. Please find my gratitude all around you. I must tell you, it gives me great pleasure to think of you reading these words in licks and whorls of flame, your eyes unable to work backwards, unable to keep the letters on a page. Instead, you must absorb them, admit them into your memory. In order to recall them, you must seek my presence in your thoughts, tangled among them like sunlight in water. In order to report my words to your superiors, you must admit yourself already infiltrated, another casualty of this most unfortunate day. This is how we'll win. It is not entirely my intent to brag. I wish you to know that I respected your tactics. The elegance of your work makes this war seem like less of a waste. Speaking of which, the hydraulics in your spherical flanking gambit were truly superb. I hope you'll take comfort from the knowledge that they'll be thoroughly digested by our mulchers, such that our next victory against your side will have a little piece of you in it. Better luck next time then. Fondly, Blue. A glass jar of water boils in an MRI machine. In defiance of proverbs, Blue watches it. When Blue wins, which is always, she moves on to the next thing. She savours her victories in retrospect between missions, recalls them only while travelling, up thread into the stable past or down thread into the fraying future, as one recalls beloved lines of poetry. She combs or snarls the strands of time's braid with the finesse or brutality required of her, and leaves. She is not in the habit of sticking around because she is not in the habit of failing. The MRI machine is in a 21st century hospital, remarkably empty, evacuated, Blue observes, but never conspicuous to begin with, nestled in the green heart of a forest bisected by borders. The hospital was meant to be full. Blue's job was a delicate matter of infection, one doctor in particular to intrigue with a new strain of bacteria, to lay the groundwork for twisting her world towards or away from biological warfare, depending on how the other side responded to Garden's move. But the opportunities vanished, the loophole closed, and the only thing there for Blue to find is a jar labelled "Read by Bubbling." So she lingers by the MRI machine, musing as she does on the agonies of symmetry recording the water's randomness. The magnetic bones settled like reading glasses on the thermodynamic face of the universe, registering each bloom and burst of molecule before it transforms. Once it translates the last of the water's heat into numbers, she takes the printout in her right hand and fits the key of it into the lock of the letter-strewn sheet in her left. She reads, and her eyes widen. She reads, and the data gets harder to extract from the depth of her fists clench. But she laughs too, and the sound echoes down the hospital's empty halls. She is unaccustomed to being thwarted. Something about it tickles, even as she meditates on how to phase shift failure into opportunity. Blue shreds the datasheet and the ciphertext, then picks up a crowbar. In her wake, a seeker enters the hospital room's wreck, finds the MRI machine, breaks into it. The jar of water is cool. She tips its tepid liquid down her throat. My most insidious Blue. How does one begin this sort of thing? It's been so long since I last started a new conversation. We're not so isolated as you are, not so locked in our own heads. We think in public. Our notions inform one another, correct, expand, reform. Which is why we win. Even in training, the other cadets and I knew one another as one knows a childhood dream. I'd greet comrades I thought I'd never met before, only to find we'd already crossed paths in some strange corner of the cloud before we knew who we were. So, I am not skilled in taking up correspondence, but I have scanned enough books and indexed enough examples to essay the form. Most letters begin with a direct address to the reader. I've done that already, so next comes shared business. I'm sorry you couldn't meet the good doctor. She's important. More to the point, her sister's children will be if she visits them this afternoon and they discuss patterns in birdsong, which she will have done already by the time you decipher this note. My cunning methods for spiriting her from your clutches? Engine trouble. A good spring day, a suspiciously effective and cheap remote access software suite her hospital purchased 2 years ago, which allows the good doctor to work from home. Thus we braid strand 6 to strand 9, and our glorious crystal future shines so bright I gotta wear shades, as the prophets say. Remembering our last encounter, I thought it best to ensure you twist no other groundlings to your purpose, hence the bomb threat. Crude, but effective. I appreciate your subtlety. Not every battle's grand, not every weapon fierce. Even we who fight wars through time forget the value of a word in the right moment, a rattle in the right car engine, a nail in the right horseshoe. It's so easy to crush a planet that you may overlook the value of a whisper to a snowbank. Address the reader. Done. Discuss shared business. Done. Almost. I imagine you laughing at this letter, in disbelief. I have seen you laugh, I think. In the ever-victorious army's ranks, as your dupes burned the summer palace and I rescued what I could of the emperor's marvellous clockwork devices, you marched scornful and fierce through the halls, hunting an agent you did not know was me. So I imagine fire glinting off your teeth. You think you've wormed inside me, planted seeds or spores in my brain, whatever vegetal metaphor suits your fancy. But here I've repaid your letter with my own. Now we have a correspondence, which, if your superiors discover it, will start a chain of questions I anticipate you'll find uncomfortable. Who's infecting whom? We know from our horse Trojans in my time. Will you respond, establishing complicity, continuing our self-destructive paper trail just to get in the last word? Will you cut off, leaving my note to spin its fractal math inside you? I wonder which I'd rather. Finally, conclude. This was fun. My regards to the vast and trunkless legs of stone. Red. Red puzzles through a labyrinth of bones. Other pilgrims wander here, in saffron robes or homespun brown. Sandals shuffle over rocks, and high winds whistle around cave corners. Ask the pilgrims how the labyrinth came to be, and they offer answers varied as their sins. Giants made it, this one claims, before the gods slew the giants, then abandoned Earth to its fate at mortal hands. Yes, this is Earth, long before the Ice Age and the Mammoth, long before academics many centuries down thread will think it possible for the planet to have spawned pilgrims or labyrinths. Earth. The first snake built the labyrinth, says another, screwing down through rock to hide from the judgment of the sun. Erosion made it, says a third, and the grand dumb motion of tectonic plates, forces too big for we cockroaches to conceive, too slow for mayfly us to observe. They pass among the dead, under chandeliers of shoulder blades, rose windows outlined by rib cages. Metacarpals outline looping flowers. Red asks the other pilgrims nothing. She has her mission. She takes care. She should make no opposition. She makes a small twist this far up thread. At the labyrinth's heart there is a cavern, and soon into that cavern will come a gust of wind. And if that wind whistles over the right fluted bones, one pilgrim will hear the cry as an omen that will drive him to renounce all worldly goods and retreat to build a hermitage on a distant mountain slope. So that hermitage will exist in 200 years to shelter a woman fleeing with child in a storm. And so it goes. Start a stone rolling, so in 3 centuries you'll have an avalanche. Little flash to such assignment, less challenge, so long as she stays on script. Not even a taunt to disturb her path. Did her adversary, did Blue, ever read her letter? Red liked writing it. Winning tastes sweet, but sweeter still to triumph and tease, to dare reprisal. Every op since, she's watched her back, moved with double caution, waiting for payback, or for Commandant to find her small breach of discipline and bring the scourge. Red has her excuses ready. Since her disobedience, she's been a better agent, more meticulous. But no reply has come. Perhaps she was wrong. Perhaps her enemy does not care, after all. The pilgrims follow guides down the path of wisdom. Red departs and wanders narrow, twisting passages in the dark. Darkness does not bother her. Her eyes do not work like normal eyes. She scents the air, and olfactory and analytics flash into her brain, offering a trail. At a particular niche, she draws from her satchel a small tube that sheds red light on the skeletons arrayed within. The first time she does this, she finds nothing. The second, her light glints off a pulsing stripe on this femur, that jaw. Satisfied, she adds femur and jaw to her bag, then banishes the light and wanders deeper down. Imagine her in utter night, invisible. Imagine the footsteps, one by one, that never tire, never slip on cave dust or gravel. Imagine the precision with which her head swivels on her thick neck, swinging a measured arc from side to side. Here, you can just gyroscopes whir in her gut, lenses click beneath the camouflage jelly of those pure black eyes. She moves as fast as possible within operating parameters. More red lights. More bones join the others in the sack. She does not need to check her watch. A timer ticks down in the corner of her vision. When she thinks she's found the bones she needs, she descends. Far below the path of wisdom, the masters of this dark place ran out of corpses. The niches remain, waiting, perhaps for Red. Even the niches stop, eventually. Soon after that, guards set upon her. Eyeless giants grown by the sharp-toothed mistresses of this place. The giants' nails are yellow, thick and cracked, and their breath smells better than one might expect. Red breaks them quickly and quietly. She has no time for the less violent approach. When she can no longer hear their moans, she reaches the cavern. She knows by the changed echoes of her footsteps that she has found the place. When she kneels and stretches forth her hand, she feels 10 centimetres of remaining ledge, then the abyss. Strong, cold wind gusts past her, the earth's own breath, or some great monster's far below. It howls. The noise clatters off the bone mobiles the nuns make down here to remind themselves of the impermanence of flesh. The bones sing and turn, hanging from marrow twine in the darkness. Red feels her way along the ledge until she finds one of the great anchored tree trunks from which the mobiles hang. She shimmies out upon the trunk until she reaches the bones of some ancient nun, hung by some other. The countdown clock in her eye warns her how little time is left. She cuts the old bones free with her diamond-sharp nails and takes her replacements from her pack. Strings them one by one with marrow twine, connecting skull and fibula, jaw and sternum, coccyx and xiphoid process. The timer ticks down. 7, 6. She ties the knots rapidly by touch. Her limbs inform her that they ache where they clutch this ancient trunk above an unfathomable drop. 3, 2. She lets the bones fall into the pit. 0. A rush of wind splits the earth, a roar in darkness. Red clutches the petrified trunk closer than a lover. The wind peaks, screams, tosses bones about. A new note rises above the ossuary clatter, woken by the cavern's wind whistling over precise fluted pits in the bones Red has hung. The note grows, shifts, and swells into a voice. Red listens, teeth bared in an expression that, if she saw it mirrored, she could not name. There's awe there, yes, and fury. What else? She scans the lightless cavern. She detects no heat signature, no movement, no radar ping, no EM emissions or cloud trail. Of course not. She feels gloriously exposed. ready for the gunshot or the moment of truth. Too soon, the wind dies, and the voice with it. Red curses into the silence. Remembering the era, she invokes local fertility deities, frames inventive methods for their copulation. She exhausts her invective arsenal and growls, wordless, and spits into the abyss. After all that, as prophesied, she laughs. Thwarted, bitter, but still, there's humour in it. Before she leaves, Red saws free the bones she hung. The pilgrim Red meant to shape is gone, and the hermitage will be unbuilt. Now Red will have to fix the mess to the best of her ability. The abandoned bones tumble and fall and fall. But don't worry. The seeker catches them before they land. Dear Red, in tooth, in claw. You were right that I laughed. Your letter was very welcome. It told me a great deal. You imagined the fire glinting off my teeth. Knowing your fine attention to detail, I thought I'd put a little devil in it. Perhaps I ought to begin with an apology. This is not, I'm afraid, the omen you are anticipating. While you listen to my words, you might give a little thought to whose bones are cored and pocked with this letter. That poor pilgrim who might have been. Why leave a self-destructing paper trail when one can enjoy an asset-destroying scrimshaw session and let the wind take a turn tickling some ivory? Don't worry, he lived a fine life first. Not the life you would have wanted for him, perhaps. Unhappy but useful to posterity, harbouring the vulnerable, dimpling the future's punch cards one new life at a time. Instead of building a hermitage, he fell in love, made glorious music with his fellow, travelled widely, drew tears from an emperor, melted her hard heart, bumped history out of one groove and into another. Strand 22 crosses Strand 56, if I'm not mistaken, and somewhere down thread a bud's bloomed bright enough to taste. It flatters me to find you so attentive. Be assured that I'll have looked long and hard at you while you assembled my little art project. Will you go still or turn sharply when you know that I'm watching you? Will you see me? Imagine me waving in case you don't. I'll be too far off for you to see my mouth. Just kidding. I'll be long gone by the time the wind turns right. Made you look though, didn't I? I imagine you laughing too. I look forward to your reply. Blue. Blue approaches the temple in pilgrim's guise. Hair shorn to show the shine of circuitry curling around ears and up to scalp. Eyes goggled, mouth a smear of chrome sheen, eyelids chrome-hooded. She wears antique typewriter keys on her fingertips in veneration of the great god Hack, and her arms are braceleted in walls of gold, silver, palladium, glinting brighter than bright against her dark skin. Seen from overhead, she is one of thousands, indistinguishable from the slow press of bodies shuffling towards the temple. A borehole in the centre of a vast, sun-baked pavilion. No one enters it. Such worshipful heat would wither their god on its silicon vine. But inside is where she needs to be. Blue drums her key-clapped fingers against one another with a dancer's precision. A, C, T, G, backwards and forwards, bifurcated, reunited. Their percussive rhythm sequences an airborne strain of malware she's been breeding for generations. an organism spreading invisible tendrils through the society's neural network, harmless until executed. She snaps her fingers. A spark flares between them. The pilgrims, all 10,000 of them, all at once, collapse, perfectly silent, into one vast ornamented heap. She listens to the hiss and pop of overheated circuits misfiring in filigreed brains and walks peacefully through the incapacitated pilgrims, their twitching limbs like surf lapping softly at her ankles. It amuses Blue to no end that, in disabling their temple, in mounting this attack, she has herself performed an act of devotion to their god. She has 10 minutes to navigate the temple labyrinth. Down the service ladder, hand over hand, then one palm against the dry, dark wall to follow its broken lines to a centre. It's cold underground, colder on her bare skin, colder still the deeper she goes, and she shivers but doesn't slow. At the centre is a boxy screen. It lights up as Blue approaches. Hello, I'm Mackind. Hush, Siri. I'm here for the riddles. Eyes and a mouth, it can't quite be called a face, animate the screen, regard her evenly. Very well. How do you calculate the hypotenuse of a right triangle? Blue tilts her head, stands very still, except for the flexing of her fingers at her side. She clears her throat. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. Siri's screen blinks with static before it asks, what is the value of pi to 62 decimals? The sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. A fistful of snow skitters across Siri's face. If train A leaves Toronto at 6 p.m. travelling east at 100 kilometres per hour, and train B leaves Ottawa at 7 p.m. travelling west at 120 kilometres per hour, when will they cross? Lo, the spell now works around thee, and the clankless chain hath bound thee. O'er thy heart and brain together hath the word been passed. Now whither? A flash of light. Siri powers down. Further, Blue adds, stepping lightly towards the box, making to lift it into the heavy bag next to it. Ontario sucks, as the prophets say. The screen flashes again. She steps back, startled. Words scroll across the screen, and as they do, her eyes widen, and the screen's blue-white light catches on the chrome paint of her mouth as it spreads slowly into a ferocious grin. She clacks her keys one final time before shedding them from her fingers, the sheen from her mouth, the metal from her arms. As she steps sideways into the braid, the heap of ornament shrivels, rusts, flakes, indistinguishable from the fine grit of the cavern floor. The seeker, following after, distinguishes every grain. Dearest Blue Dabadee, a daring intrusion. Mad props. I never would have believed your party would risk working strand 8827 this far down thread until I recognised your distinctive signature. I shudder to imagine an equal and opposite incursion. May causality forbid Commandant ever dispatch me to one of your viney, hivey elf worlds, profusely floral, all arching elder trees, neural pollen, bees gathering memories from eyes and tongue, honey libraries dripping knowledge from the comb. I harbour no illusions I'd succeed. You would find me in an instant, crush me faster. I'd walk a swathe of rot through your verdancy, no matter how light I tried to step. I have a Karenkov green thumb. I know. Karenkov radiations, well, blue. Never let facts break a good joke. But you're subtle. I barely heard the signs of your approach. I won't tell you what they were, for reasons you'll understand. Imagine me, if you want, crouched atop a stairwell, knees to chin, out of sight, counting the burglar's footfalls as she climbs. You're not half bad at this. Did they grow you for this purpose? How does your side handle that sort of thing anyway? Did they engender you knowing what you'd be? Did they train you, run you through your paces at what I can only picture as some sort of horrific summer camp under the watchful eyes of concerned counsellors who smile all the time? Did your bosses send you here? Do you even have bosses? Or a queen? Might someone in your chain of command want to do you wrong? I ask because we could have trapped you here. This strand's a prominent tributary. Commandant could risk a swarm of agents without much causal risk. I imagine you reading this, thinking you would have escaped them all. Maybe. But those agents are busy elsewhere, and it would be a waste of time, to recall them and dispatch again. Rather than bother Commandant with something I could handle on my own, I interceded directly. Easier for us both. Of course, I couldn't let you steal these poor people's god. We don't need this place in specific, but we need something like it. I'm sure you can picture the work required to rebuild such a paradise from scratch, or even recover its gleam from the wreckage. Think for a second. If you succeeded, if you stole the physical object on whose slow quantum decomposition this strand's random number generators depend, if that triggered a cryptographic crisis, if that crisis led people to distrust their food printers, if hungry masses rioted, if riots fed this glitter to the fires of war, we'd have to start again, cannibalizing other strands, likely from your braid, and then we'd be at each other's throats even more. Plus, this way I can repay you for that trick in the catacombs with a note of my own. But I'm almost out of room. You like the Strand 6th 19th century? Well, Mrs. Levitt's Guide to Etiquette and Correspondence, London, Gooseneck Press, Strand 61, suggests I should end by recapitulating my letter's main thrust, whatever that means. So here goes. Ha ha, Blueser. Your mission objectives in another castle. Hugs and kisses, red. P.S. The keyboard's coated with slow-acting contact poison. You'll be dead in an hour. P.P.S. Just kidding. Or am I? P.P.P.S. I'm just screwing with you. But postscripts sure are fun.
Oh, it's so twisty.
Love it, love it, love it.
That's amazing.
That's so good.
Who wrote this?
Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone together.
Really cool.
So good.
I love it.
Each.
I love that it's seriously talking about the nuclear apocalypse or whatever has happened, but then also it twists to be like, we're joking now, and it feels natural, you know?
It's got a lot of it reminds me of A&M Banks in terms of the comedic element alongside some pretty grim horror.
Yeah. They're just like, oh, yep, this is how it is now, so moving on.
I love all the references to other things.
Yeah.
I love. Did you catch the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy one? I thought that was fun.
I didn't catch that. What was that?
I have
With
a
the
song
shade.
stuck in my head now.
Is it blue? Dabba dee dabba die.
Yep.
What was the Hitchhiker's reference?
About putting shades on.
Oh, right.
As the prophets
I
say.
wondered where that bit come from.
I love it so much. So, enjoyed it?
Yeah, I think we could do this in one night.
It don't tempt me because I definitely would just blast through the whole thing.
Oh. Yeah.
If Martin can read it in one sitting, I'm sure we could listen to it in one sitting.
I was
don't
tempted
want
to
to be
read it for a
outdone
second
by
time
him.
today, despite knowing that I'd be listening to it this week as well. I was like, I can read it today as well.
It's a bastard though, because like this is so like episodic and darting wildly between all these different settings and things, and at the same time your voice is very, very soothing and I keep dozing off.
Oh, so lovely. Yeah.
And it's so
lovely.
you don't have a chance to like, can't be like, oh okay, no, it'll revisit this later. No one.
That's what catch-up's for, but also, oh, sweetie.
I already know that word, yes.
Oh, I enjoyed this so much. I'm really excited to be doing this.
I know first chapters and like the first part of any book is always usually really good. So like anytime there's anything, the first night is always like, oh my God, it's new, it's exciting. What is this world? What's happening? But this one feels like extra excitement because it's like 100 new worlds and there's so much things where it's like, what does it mean? How does it go? It draws you in like straight away. It's good.
Does anybody have notes or questions?
I just want to say how fucking delightful it was. I was like really enjoying the poeticness, and then it just gets into that banter, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm shipping it.
I love it. I love it. I've maybe given them quite a like a flirty affect right from the off, which I don't know if that is how it's supposed to be, but
I'm shipping
whatever.
blue and red already.
I'm leaning into it. Oh my God.
Purple.
Purple, team purple.
Team purple. Okay, hashtag team purple. I love it. All right, well, should we say goodbye to the catch-up crew and then we could have notes and things? How does that sound? What do we think? Okay. Catch-up crew, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are hashtag team purple as well. And we love you very much. Bye. Bye.